Deadpoolbeard joins the fight. Hello friends and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily Reddit content anywhere on the internet. Promise, swearsies, it's just a fact. Look it up, cause it's totally science. What did I get you for this lovely Christmas Eve? Well, it is r/NeckbeardStories. As if you didn't know. It's just the best gift that I can give. And I'll be honest, you'll probably get the same thing on Christmas Day, and it is only slightly better than a pair of socks. Fresh socks. When I was 12, I hated getting socks. Now that I'm 30, I'm like, hell yeah, socks. Let's do this. So, without any further delay, let's go ahead and jump into some nice non-Christmas related neckbeards. Dating Deadpool beard. Trigger warning, suicide, baiting, and assault. We got a lot of trigger warnings tonight. That's what I got you for Christmas. Trigger warnings. A whole box full of them. I've been absolutely obsessed with reading and watching YouTube videos about this subreddit for the past 4 months, and I cannot get enough. You and me both, bro. Makes me want to have my own encounter with a neckbeard. And then it hit me. I'd already been way too close for comfort with one. Introducing OP, Eden, E for short. I was about 16 at the time, about 5'4", a little chubby, busty, and shy. Short hair, not terrible looking, too nice for my own good, and I also sucked at saying no and standing up for myself. I loved drawing, watching a lot of anime at the time, and playing video games, which definitely made me look like a succulent ham on Christmas Eve. Hey, holiday related. To any smelly lard of a human being that came into contact with me, but especially neckbeards. At the time, I was going to a private Catholic school that sucked you dry, not only of money, but also your spirit and motivation. Seriously, fuck that school. I'd just gotten dumped and was very desperate for some form of affection. My only safe haven was Instagram, where I could post about my hobbies and art and selfies. One day I got a direct message from somebody I didn't recognize. I wish I had saved the messages, but I blocked him on just about everything. But I can still paraphrase. Deadpoolbeard joins the fight. DPB for short. Now, Deadpoolbeard wasn't your average katana-wielding, fedora-tipping fat fuck with a superiority complex. He was tall, lanky, smelled okay, I guess. And the only feature that some might find even slightly unnerving was a cleft lip that had been fixed as a baby. Deadpoolbeard.
Hey, I saw some art on your profile and, I must say, you're very talented.
Now, I didn't get many compliments of my art on Instagram, mostly because I didn't post a lot of it, so I was tickled pink by the sudden praise of my handiwork. OP. Aw, hey, thanks a lot, man, I try my best. Deadpoolbeard.
Don't mention it. I try my hand at drawing too, but it's not nearly as good as yours.
Don't say that. Everyone has the right to express themselves through art, even if it's not professionally. Can I see some of your art? He then proceeded to send me drawings of various Marvel characters, and of course Deadpool, poorly traced and colored with colored pencils. I'm not one to judge drawing skills, but tracing other people's work is detestable. I didn't want to be rude, so I just humored his work and asked him who his favorite Marvel character was, and he replied hastily that the chimichanga-loving Spider-Man knockoff was his favorite. The merc with the mouth, Deadpool. Now don't get me wrong, I love Deadpool in all of his weird and quirky glory, but Deadpoolbeard damn near turned liking Deadpool into a personality trait, which is probably the biggest problem with Deadpool fanboys. Deadpool lanyard always hanging out of his pocket, Deadpool hoodie, Deadpool keychain hanging off the rearview mirror of his car, Deadpool sticker in the rear window. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. OP, hey, I like Deadpool too. I can't wait to see Deadpool 2. Haha, get it? Which was coming out in about a week or so. I saw this as a simple remark of endearment to his beloved pepperoni-skinned man. He saw this as an opportunity to ask
my lady out to a date. A Deadpool date.
Deadpoolbeard.
Would you like to see it with me? I already got a ticket, but I could buy another one for you.
At this point, I didn't know he lived anywhere near me, so I was a bit confused about how he already knew that I was in the area without even asking me. I figured he asked a friend of mine or something because I later found out we had a mutual friend. OP, where do you even live? Deadpool Beard.
Oh, I live in so-and-so county in the same state that you live in.
And it was the same county that I lived in also. I was a bit weirded out, but not too much because I live in a smallish area where everyone knows each other outside the city. It wasn't too hard to ask around and find someone who knows anything about any certain person. Red flag number 1 that stupid 16-year-old me did not see. OP, oh, well, that actually sounds kinda nice. If you don't mind, I'd love to come. Which was true, because around that time some of my friend group had graduated and left the squad looking kinda sparse, so I was happy to find one more to add. We exchanged Snapchats at some point, and talking to him became a daily thing, and I eventually grew to enjoy his company. He had a similar sense of humor to me, and he also played some video games with me too. A week seemed to fly by, and the dawn of the final day came upon us. The final day of my sanity, that is. The Deadpool movie was set to screen around 4 p.m. that day, so I spent the day doing some chores and playing on my Nintendo Switch until it was time to get ready. I took a shower, dressed up in a hoodie and jeans, and had him pick me up from my house. I waited inside my garage for him to pull up, while my dad waited with me to meet him. Good dad. A small gray Kia covered in Deadpool merch and a Deadpool Funko Pop glued to his rearview window dash pulled up at the end of our driveway, and out came our knight in shining armor. Well, actually, he was wearing a pink hoodie and cargo pants, but that's besides the point. This is the first time I actually saw him in person, and I was a little thrown off by the way his lips contorted slightly, but it didn't really bother me, I guess. He had pierced ears, and his left eyebrow was pierced as well. He met my dad and managed to behave himself pretty well, all the way until we got into the room that our movie was playing in. It turns out, since he bought my ticket days after he bought his, our seats were on opposite sides of the room. My seat was in the front row, and his was towards the back. I was a little annoyed and disappointed because I didn't want to sit next to people that I didn't know, and I think he picked up on this. Deadpool Beard.
Hey, OP, I'm sorry about your seat. If you'd like, we could share my seat so you could sit near me.
Are the sirens not going off yet? Now we went to one of those fancy movie theaters with the slightly larger than average chairs, and they leaned back like lounge chairs so it could just barely fit 2 people. OP, sure, why not? Thanks. I'll give you 1,000 reasons why not. I thought he was just trying to make the situation more comfortable for me, but it would become very clear very quickly that he had ulterior motives. We sat down in the seat, and it is uncomfortably close. My thigh is squished into his, and I don't have much wiggle room. I decided to just suck it up and try to enjoy the movie, which Deadpool Beard decided was unacceptable, and he needed to do something to woo his date, which, by the way, we never specified this as a date. He put his arm around my shoulder and pulled me closer, and I sort of freezed up. I have issues when someone or something makes me uncomfortable. I sort of just freeze up and wait for whatever it is to stop or go away. It's something that I've worked on since, but it was really bad back then. I fidget my hands a little bit, and he must have took that as a sign to comfort Milady in distress by grabbing my hand and holding it. His hands were as cold as ice, but somehow still sweaty. Ugh, gross. This went on until the movie ended and the credits began rolling. I usually stretch after a movie because I have bad joints, genetic issues, FML, so I try to stand up, but he grabs my wrist and pulls me back down into the seat and looks me in the eyes. Deadpool Beard.
You look really nice today, OP. I didn't know it was possible for someone to look this astonishing in such comfortable clothing.
Now, I didn't know whether to take that as a compliment or an insult, so I brushed it off and blushed with a tinge of cringe in my brain. OP, thanks. You look nice too. Then he leaned in to what I think was an attempt at kissing me, but I shot out of the seat, stretching very dramatically and yawned. Very nervously and with a shaky voice, I asked, "Hey, I'm really hungry. Do you think we could grab a bite to eat?" And this thankfully bought me time to make it until 8 o'clock, which was the time I needed to be home by. Visibly a little hurt from my rejection of his advances, he replies,
Well, sure. I guess I could take you to the Chick-fil-A that's in front of my job.
Relieved to have my body free from his bony thigh shackles, I was immediately captured again as we walked out of the theater by his clammy hand grabbing mine. We walk back to the car and he opens the door for me, and I cringed visibly, but but at this point I just wanted to go home. On the drive to Chick-fil-A, he begins talking about how much
he feels so alone all the time, and he's been dealing with his depression and mental health a lot recently.
Now, I'm someone who will listen to literally anyone vent about their mental health issues because I know exactly what he was going through as I was in a similar situation, but the way he went about talking about it to me made it seem like he was trying to guilt trip me. Deadpool Beard.
It feels like everyone I've ever cared about leaves me for someone better. I don't understand. I try my hardest to be the best I can be, but it never seems like enough.
Now this guy had an awful inferiority complex, and I had one at the time too, but my god, this guy was on a whole nother level. OP, listen, you shouldn't place your self-worth into how other people view you. Just try and be as genuine of a person as you can be and cherish those that are still in your life. He might have taken that last part a bit too seriously, because as I finished my sentence, he grabbed my hand again and caressed it with his thumb. His clammy thumb. We arrived at the Chick-fil-A, and he pulled out a Deadpool wallet and ordered chicken nuggets for me, and he got a sandwich. We pulled into a parking space overlooking a cornfield and began to eat. He continued talking.
You know, I never really felt so connected with someone. I wish I could do more to show it to you.
The way he said this was mildly creepy, but I can't tell if he meant to entail anything or not. But knowing beards, it's usually not PG. Besides, this isn't the most appropriate thing to say to someone that you've known for a grand total of 2 weeks. OP, you've already done enough for me today. I had a nice time. Deadpool Beard.
Well, no, I meant more special, like...
And then he proceeded to touch my face with his grease-covered chicken fingers. And push his lips onto mine. I froze up and panicked, not knowing what to do. Disgusted at not only his greasy little mitts touching my face, but his lips kissing me so greedily. He was an awful kisser, nearly drooling down my chin as he did so. Oh, I hate it. He pulled away and looked into my eyes once more. He pulled my hair out of my face and said,
You're amazing. I think I'd probably kill myself if you ever left me. Will you be my girlfriend?
Daddy, chill.
I was very easily manipulated back then, and I didn't know what to do. I silently cut my losses and began to panic, as I had a rough past with suicide. This guy was nice enough to take me to a theater and pay for my food. He bought me dinner. The least I can do is give him a chance, right? Wrong. But I still did it. I gave this inconsiderate, personal space-invading weirdo a chance. And for about 6 months, he was the #1 cause of stress in my life. This was a very long-winded story, and I apologize, but there is actually more. A lot more. But I need to go do some stuff. If any of you would like to see more of Deadpool Beard, you're in luck. I'll be updating the story within the month. In the meantime, Merry Christmas, and I hope you can enjoy it at least a little bit. Oh god, the scene where you describe him kissing you, that just takes the cringe crown for this episode, for sure. That's the worst thing I've ever heard. I assume he was around your age, at least I hope so, Jesus. There's a big difference between, like, you know, 2 16-year-olds fumbling around together trying to figure it out, or a 20-year-old man and a 16-year-old basically being taken advantage of. So for my own personal sanity, I'm just going to assume that you're both 16 and it's possibly kind of about as normal as it gets, maybe. Obviously the dude's like super weird and manipulative and probably not a person that you want to be around, but hey, makes for a hell of a story. I am totally looking forward to more Deadpool Beard. I'll put it in the thumbnail so people know where to look. I don't know who needs to hear this, possibly OP from back then. It's too late for her, but if you're a 16-year-old out there listening to this, feeling in the same situation, just know you don't owe him anything. He can take you to a movie, he can buy you dinner, he can buy you a freaking car. You don't owe him anything. Not a kiss, not a hug, definitely not a relationship. And I think that's a super important thing to keep in mind. Whether it is an actual date, or just I want to go see this movie so I went with you kind of date. And I know OP said it's not like a date. They never specified it as that. Well, you know, probably specify. You'd say, is this a date? And he'd be like,
Hell yeah, it is.
and you'd be like, oh, I don't want to go then. I'll just go hang out with my dad instead. I mean, if I was this girl's father, as soon as I saw a Funko Pop in that kid's car, I'd be like, you're not going anywhere with my daughter. You get out of my driveway right now. It's not that I dislike Deadpool either, but come on, Funko Pops? Even in 2004, that's a warning sign of somebody with no taste. All right, now I'm dropping firebombs. I'm going to get somebody in the comments that's like, hey, I like Funko Pops. It's just jokes, guys. It's just jokes. Dating Deadpool Beard, Part 2. There's some things I want to say before the rest of this train wreck of a story, so feel free to skip all this if you'd like. Firstly, Part 1 of Deadpool Beard got posted onto YouTube, and I saw some comments from Josh saying that the way I described Deadpool Beard's cleft lip was insensitive. And I agree, I could have tackled the description of him with more tact, and I apologize. I know this doesn't justify what I said, but Deadpool Beard said some awful things not only about me, but my parents and friends, so bear with me. Vitriolic feelings will do that, OP. You say whatever you need to say about this dude. I do know that this exchange took place in my comment section, but I think it ended out pretty well, you know? People were mostly civil and just voicing their opinions, which I definitely approve of. Anyways, also forgot to mention that Deadpool Beard was 19 at the time of this story, so he knew exactly what he was doing. And I think that's a point that I brought up. I'm like, oh, if it's a 16-year-old and a 16-year-old, it's okay. 16-year-old and a 19-year-old, it's less okay. Maybe still in the range of okay, maybe. It's a gap, but not enough to make, you know, the story completely heinous, I guess. Secondly, ReddX, thank you for reading my story, man. Hey, I got you, OP, right here. I love your content, and hearing my experience read out with your disgusting neckbeard voice was an amazing Christmas present.
Oh, come on, it's not that disgusting. Thanks for the shout out, Peach Gatorade.
A present wrapped with old manga papers and covered with Dorito dust and grease stains. God, I hope those are grease stains. I'll never tell. That is such a nice shout out, OP. I definitely appreciate that so much. Ah, you're gonna make me fangirl. Squee. Anyways, we'll get into the story. I had just been dropped off at home from the movie theater debacle, and I was very conflicted. I'm not one to be picky with who I date as long as they treat me with some form of respect, which I have already established. Deadpool Beard has none of that. But what Deadpool Beard did have was manipulation tactics that I unfortunately easily fell for. Deadpool Beard immediately began blowing up my phone as soon as I got to my room to throw myself on the bed.
Hey, E, I had an amazing night with you. I'm so lucky to have you in my life. I really don't know what I'd do without you.
Listen, Deadpool Beard, the next time we hang out, you need to specify if we're on a date or not. I didn't realize that this was supposed to be a date. I was very uncomfortable with you just kind of randomly kissing me. Please communicate this stuff to me next time. Deadpool Beard.
Oh God, are you going to leave me too? I'm really sorry. I just couldn't help myself. You looked amazing tonight. I just want to make you happy.
On and on with the guilt trip tactics he went, making me feel like utter garbage just for wanting to have some personal space. OP, I'm not going anywhere. I just want you to respect my personal space. I'm willing to give you a second chance if you take me out on a proper date. And that was the beginning of the end. He let me choose the restaurant, and I chose to go to this nice place called Bonefish Grill. The date was set for next weekend since I still had a bunch of schoolwork to catch up on. Over the week leading up to the date, he behaved himself fairly well. This becomes a pattern as he takes on the illusion of self-growth and then throws it all away in the presence of any woman. The day comes and I'm honestly very nervous. I do like his company when he isn't trying to guilt trip me, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. I decide to dress up a little bit since this had actually been established that this was a date. I wore a cute striped turtleneck, a necklace with an opal pendant, my favorite one, and jeans.
The best time to wear a striped sweater is all the time.
He picked me up from my house in his Deadpool mobile, greeted my parents, and off we go. We arrive at the restaurant and get to our table, and things immediately go downhill. Surprise, surprise. Deadpool beard.
Wow, OP, you look so beautiful.
That's all he managed to get out as he mentally undressed me in his head. He was staring directly at my chest, not even trying to hide it. I tried not to be too bothered by it. I was happy to get any sort of affection at this point. OP, thank you. You look, pretty dapper yourself. Which was true. He had actually put effort into presenting himself. A nice dress shirt, cologne, and he even removed his piercings for the occasion. He looked pretty good for a neckbeard. But as we all know, it's the beard on the inside that counts. Bruh! She said it! I'm gonna put it on a t-shirt! Anyways, we order our food, and it takes a bit longer than we expect, and his mood, slowly but surely, starts to shift. I'd picked out the restaurant, so the slight delay was obviously my fault. Deadpool beard.
The next time we go on a date, I'm choosing.
He put extra emphasis on the I'm, as if to imply that if he would have chosen the restaurant, it'd be better. Knowing him, he probably would have taken me to Chick-fil-A again. Strike one. Bro, that's strike 1 through 3. Our food finally gets to the table, and I just drowned myself in Bang Bang Shrimp and Calamari because I was starving and didn't get to eat that day. Deadpool beard.
Whoa there! Slow it down. Women don't have strong metabolism like men do.
Strike 2. OP. Look, I'm paying for my own food. I can eat it how I want. Besides, I didn't get to eat today. I always pay for my own food on the first date. Just feels more comfortable to do so. Quite nice of you, OP. Dango. I give him a harsh look, and that seemed to keep him in check for the rest of dinner. After we got our checks, we decided to drive around since we still had some time to kill. He wanted to take me to a place that he goes to
de-stress and listen to music.
We pull up next to a train cargo yard, and it is dark outside. Creep fest.
Drink it in.
Deadpool beard.
It's not much, but this place has gotten me through a lot of rough times in the past.
OP. It's very peaceful here. I don't want to stay here too long, though. I kind of hate being so exposed out here like this. Deadpool beard.
Oh, come on. I've come here every night for weeks on end, and I've never been caught. It's the perfect place to do whatever you want without getting interrupted.
I'll give him props. He did actually ask for consent to touch me. Oh, hallelujah, praise the Lord. And he put his hand on my thigh. And then he kissed me. I think he might have practiced a bit after nearly drooling on me last time because it wasn't as awful. Suddenly, headlights are pulling up behind us. I jolt away from him and start panicking, immediately assuming the worst. OP, dude, who the fuck is that? You said this place was safe. Deadpool beard.
Oh, shit. It's my mom.
Because of course it is.
I forgot to mention, she has a GPS tracker on my phone.
Strike fucking 3. The amount of rage that I felt in that moment was indescribable. I had no intent for that night to turn sexual at all, but his mom immediately assumed that we were trying to have car sex. I immediately began to have a panic attack and curl up in the back seat. I was dead meat if my parents got wind of this. OP, why the fuck would you leave out such a crucial bit of information? I'm so dead. My parents were, and still are, extremely protective of me. They're strong believers of abstinence and will not tolerate anything of the sort. This next part's kind of a blur, and I barely remember anything except staring at that stupid Deadpool keychain hanging off his rearview mirror while simultaneously hyperventilating. Deadpool Beard drove me home and tried to explain what happened. Not only was I worried that I would get in trouble, but Deadpool Beard would too. I cried and prepared for the worst. And somehow, they believed that I wasn't trying to go against their wishes. I didn't get in trouble, and Deadpool Beard apologized profusely. At this point, it's late. I'm tired, and I walked Deadpool Beard out to his car and talked to him through his window. OP, dude, you are so lucky. I don't know how we got out of this, but I am absolutely livid. I told you to communicate with me, Deadpool Beard. You almost got us in big trouble. Deadpool Beard.
I downloaded this GPS spoofing app.
Basically an app that lets you change your GPS location to literally anywhere on Earth.
And the app should have still showed that we were at Bonefish.
Bonefish.
She keeps it on my phone to make sure that I go to my job. I'm sorry, Eden. I fucked everything up so bad on the first date. You could leave me if you want to. I hate myself too.
I stupidly accepted this apology, since it genuinely seemed like an accident, and his guilt tripping was getting to me. I then say my goodbyes and throw myself onto my bed, absolutely exhausted. To this day, I don't know why I accepted his apology. The man had a GPS spoofer just so that he could sneak away from his job. Oh, God. Not only that, he could have taken me anywhere and done even worse things to me. Do not do what I do, kids. Don't trust a neckbeard. Especially once they've been identified as such. You need to nip that in the bud. I'm so sorry if this story isn't up to standard with my last one, but it's Christmas Day, and I'm exhausted to say the least. There's much more to tell about this big brain man, and I can't wait to share. Merry Christmas, everyone. I never try to compare parts of a saga, but if we're going to, I definitely think that this one stacked up to the first part, don't you guys? I like OP's writing style, and I'm definitely looking forward to reading part 3, which I'm gonna do just as soon as it pops up. I got you favorited now, bookmarked, OP. I never been to Bonefish Grill, but it sounds absolutely awesome. I'm a big fan of seafood, especially them shrimps and calamari. Dang, that sounds awesome. Probably a little more than a neckbeard would be willing to spend. I think that he probably would have offered to pay if you were eating like a bird, you know? But he saw you tucking in and he's like, oh crap, okay, good thing she's paying. What was his job? What does he do? What job could a neckbeard possibly maintain for an extended period of time? I guess the reason that he maintains it is because he has mommy crawling up his butt. 19 years old, oh man. By 19, boy, I was already in the Navy, ready to do the thing, working 16-hour days. Need to send this boy to boot camp, get him into ship shape. Although, you know, it won't necessarily fix his lady problems. I did know my fair share of neckbeards in the Navy, but I suppose we'll get into that another time for another video when I decide to sit down and write my memoirs or something like that. I'm pretty surprised. Deadpool Beard does not seem as horrible as some of the other neckbeards that we've seen on the channel. You know, he actually is making an attempt to clean himself up and be decent, but he just can't help himself. The neckbeard instinct is so innate inside of him that it just starts leaking out. And it is a fascinating case study, I gotta say that. Deadpool Beard Part 3. Welcome back, Peach Gatorade. What up? Trigger warning right up front. Very nice. Attempted assault, suicide baiting. Hello, fellow neckbeard fanatics. So sorry for the delay in posts. I've been dealing with a lot of health issues lately. Oh, sorry to hear that. Not COVID related, thankfully. Well, there's that. I spent the first couple of weeks of this year sick as well, so I feel it. I hope you feel better soon, OP. This part is not only the finale, but it's also a lot darker than the other two parts. That's why we started out with Artbeard, you know, lighten the mood and then bring it down. Also, if you're here on this subreddit, odds are you enjoy watching videos of narrators reading these stories. If so, ReddX and Fada Walters are my go-to guys for my daily fix. Hell yeah, the two bros. I swear we're gonna get a collab soon. We're talking on Twitter about it. Just hang in there. This is like the 5th month in me and Deadpool Beard's relationship, And not anything eventful really happened during this time skip other than the occasional negging. The only thing he did bother me about was sex. It had been 5 months in our relationship with no physical sexual contact. I meant to keep it that way too. And Deadpoolbeard was getting antsy. He expected that
Since I had been his girlfriend for almost half a year, I should have already had sex with him.
which I was very uncomfortable with due to past experiences. He began getting very handsy during our dates or just hanging out at my house, and despite my protests, he continued. I knew I should have just cut him off here, but I had confrontation issues, which I previously mentioned. So the day comes when he invites me to his house. I'd never been there and was quite frankly not looking forward to meeting his mother after what had happened before. He invites me over and my parents drop me off. I walk to the door and knock, and I met with a tall and tired woman. She had long brunette hair and greeted me and invited me inside. I could already feel the awkward tension pulsating throughout the room. I already wanted to just go home. She walks me into the kitchen, calls down a dark door which leads into the basement. Let's just call her Jane. Jane?
Deadpoolbeard, your date is here.
He runs up the stairs and greets me with a smile. He gives me a hug and smells a bit different than normal. Just a hint of cat urine, maybe? Oh, Jesus. He then formally introduces me to his mother, who actually was a very nice woman. She was just thoroughly done with dealing with Deadpoolbeard's shit. That's fair, I suppose. Deadpoolbeard.
Bob, meet Eden.
Eden, hi, nice to meet you. I never got the chance to formally apologize for what happened, and I really hope you can forgive me. Jane?
Although I was very upset and suspicious of you too, I think we can put that stuff in the past if you promise not to try anything again.
As I specified last post, things never got sexual in that incident, and I wanted to make that clear, but I didn't want to push her any further. Eden, of course, you can trust me. As if Deadpoolbeard completely ignored me and his mother's conversation, he butts in and asks, Deadpoolbeard,
Bob, can you go and pick out some takeout from my favorite place?
Jane,
Deadpoolbeard, I really don't feel comfortable leaving you two home alone.
She says this in a very hesitant tone, almost expecting immediate backlash. Deadpoolbeard,
Come on, Bob. Eden's probably starving after coming all the way out here.
it was only a 30-minute drive. Eden, I don't want to make your mom do any more than she needs to do. I can just wait until I get home. He shoots me a sharp look. Deadpoolbeard,
It's the least I could do.
Jane sighs and gives in, looking utterly defeated. I later find out that she only said yes because she didn't want him to have a tantrum in front of me like he usually does when he doesn't get his way. I also learned that he didn't even use the money he got from his job to pay for anything other than his video game and anime addiction. Video game addiction? I never heard of such a thing. Jane,
Fine, but if I find out anything happened, you're both in trouble.
I look over at Deadpoolbeard, and he has a smug look on his face that for some reason makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Jane leaves to get food for us, and Deadpoolbeard is already at it. We're sitting in his living room, and he puts his hand on my thigh. Deadpoolbeard,
Would you like to come to my room? I have some games you might like.
that's ominous. He says this in a very suggestive tone, and it immediately makes me uncomfortable. Before I can answer, he grabs my wrist and walks me down the stairs into his basement, and before I even get near his door, the smell hits me. It smelled like literal shit. Feces. Unwashed ass. It wasn't him that smelled, at least I think it wasn't. It was a filthy litter box, and his neglected bearded dragon in a cage filled with feces and old food. A neckbeard with a bearded dragon? That's fitting. Not to mention the floor of the cage was carpet. I had 2 bearded dragons back at home, and carpet is one of the worst substrates, and seeing one in this awful condition made my blood boil. Eden, dude, you seriously need to clean your lizard's cage. He could get sick. Deadpoolbeard,
Relax, it's fine. Don't tell me how to care for my lizards. He's perfectly happy. You don't even know how to care for them.
Eden, dude, I have 2 of them at home, and I would never dream of keeping them in this condition. Seriously, clean the cage. He sighs, obviously annoyed. Deadpool Beard.
Fine. I'll clean it when you leave. But first, we have unfinished business.
Eden. Unfinished business. You mean cleaning the cage? You seriously need to... He cuts me off and pushes me down onto the bed, which was covered in dirty laundry and other various garbage, and immediately pushes his lips against mine, and I panic and scream against his mouth. I have no mouth and I must scream. I push him back, but he's too strong for me, and he keeps his grip hard. I'm fucking furious, and I take my hand and dig it into the space between his collarbone and shoulder and stab it with my fingertips, causing him to flinch back, leaving me just enough time to put my feet on his chest and push. Hard. Eden. Dude, what the fuck do you think you're doing? Deadpool Beard.
What am I doing? What the fuck are you doing? It's been almost 6 months in our relationship, and every time I try to make a move on you, you push me away. You fucking prude.
Eden, I fucking had it with you. You've done this since day one. Every move you made on me was non-consensual and made me extremely uncomfortable. You never even asked if any of this was okay. You've never asked for my input on any of this. It's only about you and what you want. His face turned red, and he charged at me almost as if he was gonna hit me. And then he stopped dead in his tracks and started bawling like a child. I didn't care. I was done. I walked out of that room and walked outside and waited for his mother to get home so I could tell her what happened. I sat on the porch, and the adrenaline finally wore off enough for me to truly process what had just happened. I bawled like a baby too, and I just wanted to go home. I called my parents and tell them to just pick me up. His mother pulls into the driveway and sees me crying and runs over to me, asking if everything was okay. Obviously, it wasn't. I told her everything, and she was furious. She told me how he'd been slowly losing his grip on his mental health, and that I was his first ever girlfriend. The rest of this was a blur, but I eventually ghosted him and blocked him on everything. This led to him posting on his social media, insulting me and my family, despicable things. I didn't press charges because it was just too traumatic to go through the whole process of going to court. I have not had contact with him again, and he's not tried to contact me, and I'm thankful for that at least. But if he does try to contact me again, I'm getting a restraining order. This will be the final part of the Deadpool Beard story, and I just wanted to thank you guys for all the support. This last installment was a lot harder to write, hence the low energy. Sorry if it isn't your cup of tea, but it isn't exactly easy to turn trauma into a good read. Thank you guys again. Seriously, stay safe out there. Jesus, OP, this could have turned out a lot worse for you. I'm sure it was still a traumatic experience, but I'm so glad that you were able to fight this beardo off and get away, and even tell his mom what was happening. I don't know how much effect she can have on everything, considering that Deadpool Beard seems to disregard everything that she says, and she's somewhat enabling him, you know. Okay, I'll go get the food, but don't rape that girl. It's just a horrible situation overall. I'd like to see Deadpool Beard brought to some sort of justice, but I'm sure it'll happen eventually. It is, of course, your choice to not press charges. You know, I won't hold that against you, but I would at least encourage you to reconsider so this doesn't end up happening to somebody else. I want to make it perfectly clear that that would not be your own fault. The repercussions of any of his actions fall squarely on his shoulders, but at least getting it on paper and ensuring that there is a record if it does end up happening to someone else could be extremely helpful. It does seem weird to me, like there's a big change in Deadpool Beard's behavior from part 2 to part 3, but I think that's mostly because of the 5-month time skip where he's, you know, getting refused at every turn and he's got these expectations. Well, you know what they say, expectation is the mother of disappointment. So if he was not getting what he expected from the relationship, then the normal thing to do, the intelligent thing to do, would just be to break it off. Unfortunately, I think that he's terrified that he won't be able to find anybody else, and he's partly right on that, but maybe that would encourage him to have a look at himself and readjust some of the things that so clearly need readjusting. I'm super proud of you, OP, for, you know, getting out there, sharing this story, as hard as it surely was to share, but I can only hope that some other people will hear this and hopefully keep themselves out of harm's way because of it. Neckbeards are kind of funny, you know, they seem like stupid clowns. Haha, he has a GPS spoofer on his phone. Haha, he doesn't go to his job and cries about how he can't afford a new fedora. But then it all comes to a head and things like this. And it just goes to show people are unpredictable. Always be wary, always be willing to defend yourself, and keep an eye out for those beards. I'm glad that he isn't harassing you on social media. I hope he continues to stay far, far away from you. But even if he does, I'll say again, I hope that you'll reconsider pressing charges. Additionally, friends, I hope that you will consider liking, commenting, and or subscribing on this video. Maybe sharing it around if you should like. We've also got a link swarm down in the description. There are some links there that weren't included on the splash page at the beginning of the episode, so I encourage you to check it out. Additionally, you've seen some names popping up on the screens. Those are my gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful, generous patrons. And I would like to thank all of them, but specifically, Lady Nix, Robert Waits, Pope Squid, Rebecca H, Cider Drinker, Tato Fair, The Last Shinobi, Mark 211, Michael Undead, Aaron W, Mitch, John Hero, Josh K, Candy, Sora. And we also got a new patron today, Ka Aguilar. So a big tip of the fedora to him and all of the rest of you, but not in the bad way, like the cool fedora. Fedoras before Neckbeards got a hold of him. I appreciate you guys so much for helping me to live the dream. And if anybody else could donate monetarily, that is awesome, awesome. I highly encourage it. But if you can't, don't worry about it. You know, we all got stuff to pay for. We all got to live a life. I just appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. And I hope that you'll come on back and hang out with me again tomorrow. In order to do so, you'll need to keep yourself safe out there. So wash your hands. It's seriously one of the most important things that you can do. On top of that, I hope that you'll take some time out today to do something that you personally enjoy. Like watching a ReddX video. I mean, you watched one, but if you wanted to watch another, I'd be okay with it. Anyways, I'll see you in the next one, friends. And until then, bye-bye.